right. Somewhere right around now, you should be seeing a little includes paid promotion flag coming up on this video. And that's because, according to YouTube, this video is going to contain something that they consider to be a paid promotion. And that's what I want to talk about, because I've recently added this flag to a lot of my videos, and I don't want there to be any confusion about what it means, because it's taken me a while to figure out exactly what it means. All right, let's jump into it. Hey guys, this is Dave. Welcome back to Just the Watch, and this is a channel about watch collecting, and it's a channel where I do a lot of watch reviews, and the channel has been growing, which has been wonderful. It's been a really fun journey over the past about 2 years or so that I've been doing this. But one of the things that has started happening is that I have been able to work with more smaller watch brands, micro brands, in getting products in for review. And that has required me to kind of consider more carefully about how disclosure works. And it's kind of a controversial topic among YouTubers. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, you guys saw that paid promotions flag. Let's get that out of the way. I'm going to show you 3 watches that I really enjoy. I think they're great watches. All right, first off, I am wearing the Laco Casablanca. This is a German deck watch from Laco, company with great heritage. And the watch has a really cool design that I'm really drawn to. Just really vintage kind of Arabic numerals and a fully loomed dial, and really excellent finishing throughout. Second watch, this is the Axios Ironclad. Now this is a watch that is incredibly well built, features a scratch-resistant coating over the entire watch, some of the best loom that I have ever seen, and just a really solid watch at a great size, coming at 40 millimeters. Really has everything you could want out of a watch in this like $500 price range. Finally, this is a new one to me. It's one that I'm checking out from Vario. This is the Vario Empire, and this is just a really classic dress watch with a lot of unique twists on it. There's a lot of custom components in here that I think that Vario just did a really wonderful job of bringing the spirit of this sort of Art Deco style watch into this piece. Now, I just introduced 3 watches to you. One of those 3 watches is enough to cause the paid promotions flag to come up in this video. Now, that's a flag that I have to enable. I have to opt into that, and I have done because I believe that one of those 3 watches meets the definition of a paid promotion. And you wouldn't know unless I told you, which I will, and it was the Axios Ironclad, because that's a watch that I received for free to do a review of a while back. And this is something that happens very commonly among watch reviewers. We get watches for free to review. It enables us to test the watches very thoroughly. It enables us to get a lot of different watches in to present to you guys. And it is a cool incentive for us as well to kind of do these reviews and get some extra motivation to keep doing them. So we're going to go over a number of things. I'm going to talk about first my relationship with watch brands and how I get watches in for review and how some of them are free, and just how that has worked personally for me and the channel. To give you guys an added level of transparency to understand where I'm coming from, what I'm doing. I think I've done a pretty good job in all the videos. There shouldn't be, if any of you guys are watching my videos, you probably already know this because I say it in almost every video that I do. Second thing I'll talk about is some of the other kinds of relationships that watch brands might have with other YouTubers. I'm not going to name any names, but just some other types of relationships that I'm aware of, that I've kind of been offered from brands, so I know they're out there. Next, I'm going to talk about what YouTube's policies are regarding those kinds of relationships and what disclosures YouTube requires. Finally, we'll look at what the FTC says, the Federal Trade Commission, which is the American policies regarding this sort of thing. I am an American, I live in Japan, but most of my audience is in America, and so I am required to follow FTC guidelines. So hopefully this will be interesting to some of you guys. Let's get into it. Okay, first thing we want to talk about is my channel and how I work with watch brands to get watches in for review. Basically, there's 3 different places that I get watches for review. One is I purchase the watch myself. A second way is that I am loaned the watch by a brand. And the third way is that I am given a watch by a brand. Now, if you watch any of my watch reviews where I have received a free watch, you'll see that in the video. I always mention that. I think there might have been 1 or 2 cases where I forgot and I had to put in the description, which is bad. It should be in the video itself disclosed. But the vast majority of the time, the way that this works is the brand will contact me and say, hey, we've got a new watch release coming out. We'd love you to review it on your channel. If you're interested in doing that, we can send you a free watch and you can keep it. I have never received any money from a watch brand in order to create a review. So the only thing I've ever gotten from watch brands is free watches, which is cool. The other thing that I've been very clear about on my channel is that I have never let a watch brand control the content of the review. So they don't get to see the review ahead of time. They don't get to say, take this part out, or only say good things about the watch. They give me the watch, and then I'm free to do the review however I want. And then after I posted the review, I let them know. And I always do my best to include criticism of the watch. No watch is perfect, and so I want to highlight the areas of that could be improved, the things I didn't like about the watch, as well as the things that I did. And so far, basically every brand that has sent in a watch has been very positive about that. If there has been negatives, they've replied back and said, hey, that's great criticism. We'll work on that on future ones. So I haven't had any bad experiences where watch brands have gotten mad at me for saying bad things about their watch or anything like that. So that's been nice. But really, for my channel, at the point that it's at now, that's basically the extent of my relationship with watch brands. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the second part, which is what other sorts of relationships are out there that at least I've heard of or I'm aware of. One would be a paid content creation fee, or that would be where the watch brand pays money to the reviewer just to feature the watch on the channel and to do an unbiased review. So they give the watch and they give a sum of money, and then they don't offer any control over the content of the review. So I believe that relationship does happen. I don't know any YouTubers that do that. I just know that at least I've been offered that from at least one watch brand before. But again, I didn't take that. The second kind, and maybe the one that might be a little bit more problematic, is where there is money that changes hands, or the watch changes hand, and somehow the brand does have influence over the content of the review. And in that case, the review can often become not so much a review as a product endorsement. An endorsement isn't necessarily a bad thing. I could say good things about a watch that I like and be paid to say it as long as it's what I'm saying is true. But if I'm being paid to say it, I probably would not say the criticisms that I would have about the watch, and the person paying me, if that happened, which again, it has not happened on my channel. But presumably, if that were the relationship that I had, part of receiving the payment would be that they could say, don't say anything bad about the watch, or they could say more specifically, say this about the watch. These are the things we want you to highlight. And that would be the working relationship. And that does also happen. I've seen some instances of that. I'm sure you guys have probably been aware of some instances of that happening in the watch community. And here's the thing, that type of a relationship with a brand is very normal. There's lots of precedent, but it needs to be made clear that that's what's happening when it happens. And when it's not made clear, that's a danger both for the presenter and for the company as well. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive in first to the YouTube policies and what they talk about this. So YouTube updated their policies this summer to be a little bit more strict in who has to put that includes paid promotion tag on their videos. However, this whole thing, both with YouTube and the FTC, is somewhat vague. So I need to offer some disclaimers here. I am not giving any legal advice. I'm not an expert in this. This is just my best understanding of what they're saying. And I think I think YouTube is also intentionally kind of keeping this vague for their own protection, which has created a lot of these problems because includes paid promotion is a very confusing tag. And the fact that I have to put it up, even though I haven't received any money, is going to be confusing for a lot of people. People are going to read that, and many people are going to assume that means that paid means I got money, which is not the case for my channel. Which is why I also really need to be clear in the video itself to explain what that means so that people don't get the wrong idea about the relationship that I have with the watch company. So again, disclaimer, don't take this as legal advice. Don't hold me to this. I'm giving you my best understanding of the situation. And also don't take this out against other YouTubers. I don't want you guys to go take this information and go on a crusade because again, I could be wrong about it and they might not know it. So yeah, let's all keep cool heads here. Okay, but let's dive into YouTube's policy. So this summer they updated it. They created a kind of question and answer page, which I will link to down below in the description. And the name of that document is Add Paid Product Placements, Sponsorships, and Endorsements. So let's talk about the relevant portion in the header of that and kind of dive into what it means. So up at the top it says, you may include paid product placements, endorsements, sponsorships, or other content that requires disclosure to viewers in your video. If you choose to include any of the above, you have to let us know by selecting the paid promotion box in your video details. And when you do that, that little warning appears on all your videos. It affects a couple of other things, but mostly it's a disclosure thing both to the viewers and to YouTube so that they have a record of which videos have these sorts of things in them. Also, my cat is going nuts in the background, so sorry for the noise. So basically, if we want to boil down what YouTube's saying about that little flag down there, there's basically 4 scenarios under which you would have to enable that flag on your videos. That's if you include paid product placements, endorsements, sponsorships, or any other content that requires disclosure. So those 4 things. The fourth one is kind of a catch-all, which will become more important when we talk about what the FTC requires disclosure of. Because basically that 4th one is saying, if the FTC requires you to disclose it, you have to check this box. And the FTC gets much more specific about what these things mean. Now, from that, I think it's fairly clear. If money changes hands for any of those things, so if I am paid money to feature a product, if I'm paid money to endorse a product, or if I'm paid money as a sponsorship for a video, I have to hit that button and disclose it. And I don't think anyone would argue with that. But how does that factor down to getting a free watch, and why would a free watch require me to hit that? And this is by far, I think, the most controversial one, and probably the most common for small to medium-sized channels like mine. I think when my channel hit around 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers, I started getting free watches or offers for that. And as my channel grew, I got more and more of those offers. So it's become very common, even among smaller channels, I think, to receive free product like this. So it's important for us to kind of figure out what we're supposed to be doing here. Now, a free watch could qualify as a product placement or as an endorsement. Obviously, if I'm given a free watch, I'm going to feature that product in the content of my video, and this is what YouTube defines a product placement as in their policy. Paid product placements are pieces of content that are created for a third party in exchange for compensation, or where that third party's brand, message, or product is integrated directly into the content. So obviously, I'm doing a review. The brand's product is integrated directly into my content. It's the central piece of the content. And it's a little fishy about whether that counts as compensation or not, but that's where it comes. If you consider a free watch as a form of compensation given in exchange for creating the review, which is generally the case. I mean, they're not going to give me the watch if I don't also create a review. So there is an understanding that by receiving this watch, I am going to then create a review of the watch. But people might argue that because money hasn't changed hands, that doesn't qualify as paid product placement. I think it could, but there's other reasons why, in addition to that, you probably need to be checking that if you get a free watch. Second one is that it could be considered an endorsement. Now, an endorsement just means that I am endorsing the product. I'm saying this is a good product. So really, this only applies to positive reviews. If I get a free watch and completely thrash it and say it's a terrible watch, it's not going to qualify as an endorsement by anyone's standards. But if I say good things about the watch because the watch is good, then that might actually qualify, according to YouTube and the FTC, as an endorsement. And if I receive the watch for free and I'm endorsing it, that probably needs to be disclosed. Here's what YouTube says. Endorsements are pieces of content created for an advertiser or marketer that contain a message that people are likely to believe reflects the opinions, beliefs, or experience of the content creator or endorser. Which is exactly what happens when I get a free watch in and I review it. I'm going to give you my opinions and beliefs about the product. But the fact that I receive it for free does need to be disclosed, and that constitutes, again, an endorsement. Again, you might argue, well, if you don't get money, it's not a paid endorsement, it's just a free product that you needed to review the video. But we'll get into the FTC guidelines in a minute. They explicitly mention free products for reviewers in their understanding of endorsements. Now, the last thing is, if you are a content creator and you have a YouTube channel, when you upload a video, in the video details, there's a place where you check that box to get this little warning showing up. And in there, it says if you received any form of compensation. So it does not limit it to cash. And that's perhaps even the most clear. Again, some people are probably still going to argue, well, receiving a free watch isn't compensation. It's something that I needed for the review. I wasn't, it's not paying me to do the review or whatever. But I think, according to YouTube's definitions, it seems pretty clear to me, at least, that that's their intent and that's their understanding, that a free watch would qualify as something that requires that thing to be checked. But even if you can argue away all of that, we're going to go over the FTC in a second, and I think that case is even stronger and harder to argue against. Because there's a fourth reason that YouTube says you have to check that box, and that's kind of the catch-all. The fourth reason that YouTube says you have to check that box is if your video features other content that requires disclosure to the viewers in your videos. So what could that possibly mean? Well, really that's talking about, if there are other applicable laws or things that require you to give disclosure about something in your videos, YouTube wants you to check that box. And so that's a good segue into what does the FTC say about this, because they have some other specific things regarding disclosure. Okay, so let's talk about the FTC. FTC also has been putting out some new documents and trying to catch up because influencer marketing and social media marketing and all of this is really becoming a big thing, I think, in the marketing industry. And it's introducing a lot of really kind of gray areas where there's not a lot of clarity. So they're trying to bring some of that. And so we'll be going over some of the documents that they've recently published to help out with that. Okay, first one is from the Disclosures 101 for Social Media Influencers, which is a PDF you can find linked down below. This is a document published by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And they talk about when you need to disclose things. Let me read a little bit from that. When to disclose. Disclose when you have any financial, employment, personal, or family relationship with a brand. Financial relationships aren't limited to money. Disclose the relationship if you got anything of value to mention a product. If a brand gives you free or discounted products or other perks, and then you mention one of its products, make a disclosure even if you weren't asked to mention that product. So this is actually a very broad category. This is like not even for the main video review. FTC seems to be saying here that even if I show that product in another video down the road, like I did, like in this video, for instance, when I showed off this Axios, which I did get for free, and it is a great watch. But I wasn't paid to say that. But in that case, in this video now, which had nothing to do with anything I talked to Axios about, they had no idea I was going to show that watch here today. But FTC seems to be saying I need to be disclosing that to you guys in this video as well. So that right there should be enough from the FTC, right? The FTC is saying you need to disclose if you get free products for review. YouTube says if you have other content that requires disclosure, you need to check that box. Therefore, you need to be doing both. But there's one other part that I thought was interesting I want to share with you guys, and that's from the FTC Endorsement Guide. Again, link down below in the description to where this one's at. This is a very long one, and this is kind of the more official one where they have written up a policy, and in it they give a lot of different examples about the kinds of things that might need to be disclosed, and they have one that fits basically exactly with what I'm doing. So let me read that to you. And this is under section 255.5, disclosure of material connections. Okay, so example number 7. A college student who has earned a reputation as a video game expert maintains a personal web blog or blog where he posts entries about his gaming experiences. Readers of his blog frequently seek his opinions about video game hardware and software. As is done in the past, the manufacturer of a newly released video game system sends the student a free copy of the system and asks them to write about it on his blog. He tests the new gaming system and writes a favorable review. Because his review is disseminated in a form of consumer-generated media in which his relationship with the advertiser is not inherently obvious, readers are unlikely to know that he has received a video game system free of charge in exchange for his review of the product. And given the value of the video game system, this fact likely would materially affect the credibility they attach to his endorsement. So keyword there, endorsement. So FTC considers receiving a free product and then giving a favorable review of that product as an endorsement of that product that needs to be disclosed. And that bounces all the way back to YouTube's policy because they said if you have endorsements in your videos, you need to disclose that. So that to me, again, is another kind of strong evidence that this sort of thing requires that FTC disclosure and the YouTube checkbox as well. Now, as I said before, I have always disclosed this in the videos themselves, which is what the FTC requires. So I have actually already been in compliance with the FTC guidelines on basically all of my review videos. Again, there might be one or two exceptions where I screwed up. I'm sorry about that. But I wasn't checking the YouTube box because I didn't think that includes paid promotion tag really fit with what my channel was doing. And I thought it was going to just confuse people into thinking that I was getting paid to do reviews, which was not the case. And so I still don't like that. I still don't think that's the most appropriate way to do it, and I think it does introduce confusion. Regardless, that's YouTube's policy, and I'm going to abide by it because I don't want to get my channel demonetized or kicked off the platform or something like that. It'll just require me to be a little bit extra clear in my videos going forward what that means in case people get confused. I think most of my subscribers are going to be fine with that. They know me, they know what's going on, but actually like 70% of my views come from non-subscribers. So there's a lot of people that hit my videos for the first time when they're searching for a review of the watch. They'll have no idea what that means, and so I'll have to be explaining it to them. So you guys are probably going to hear me giving these little disclaimers in a lot of my videos going forward, which kind of sucks, but that's, just the way we are, and I think it is good for transparency as well. Which leads to the final topic here. How are we supposed to disclose this? Is it good enough to just check that box? Well, it seems like as far as YouTube's concerned, checking that box is enough. That seems to be all they care about. They just want that disclaimer on your videos. They want to know which videos have it. And, other than that, they're mostly good. They do mention in that page, though, that if there are additional laws that require additional disclosure, they say you have to comply with your local laws as well. which brings us back to the FTC because that applies to me again. And they do have specifics about how that works. So back in that Disclosure 101 for social media influencers, they have a section on how to disclose. And this is what they say there. Okay, make sure people will see and understand the disclosure. Place it so it's hard to miss. The disclosure should be placed with the endorsement message itself. If making an endorsement in a video, the disclosure should be in the video and not just in the description uploaded with the video. Viewers are more likely to notice disclosures made in both audio and video. Some viewers may watch without sound and others may not notice superimposed words. Okay, so that YouTube tag is going to take care of the visual portion of that. Okay, so that is good for that. It puts a visual disclaimer on your videos, even if it's a little bit confusing to people. But at least it covers your bases there. But in addition, the FTC says that you should be speaking about it too. You should make an audio declaration of that, which again, I always do in my videos. So I've always been covered on that aspect of it. The YouTube thing is just going to provide me a little bit of extra legal cover, which is good. But then it gets a little bit... Okay, next question is, what exactly do you have to say? And they have some more information about that too. Okay, now they have a question and answer section called the FTC's endorsement guides, what people are asking. Link down below, and they have some clarity there. Let me share a little bit from that one. So the question is, how should I disclose that I was given something for my endorsement? Do I need to list the details of everything I got from a company for reviewing a product? And this is what they say. No, what matters is whether the information would have an effect on the weight readers, or in my case, viewers, would give to your review. So whether you got $100 or $1,000, you could simply say you were paid. That wouldn't be good enough, however, if you're an employee or co-owner. And if it is something that is so small that would not affect the weight the readers would give your review, you may not need to disclose anything. So it's kind of vague there. But basically, again, if payment has been made, if cash payment has been made, I need to say I was paid for it. So if in the future I do a review where I receive money as part of the review, I need to specifically say, not only did I get a free watch, I also got paid to do this in some nice way. And you'll notice I've never said that in any of my videos because I've never done that. But the whole point to this is that there should be no ambiguity to you guys watching the videos. You shouldn't watch one of my reviews and wonder, did he get paid to say that? Or did he get that watch for free? If I am following the YouTube and FTC guidelines, I will be telling you all of that. You'll know exactly whether the watch was free, whether this was paid. And if I'm in compliance, there shouldn't be any confusion. And I think that's a very good thing. And I think that's something that we as YouTubers should strive for. You guys should not have those kinds of doubts about our credibility and potential biases. And that's, I think, again, what we need to be doing as YouTubers and what I think I'm required to be doing. I need to be checking that box and putting that YouTube disclosure message on my videos. And I need to be telling you clearly in the video itself what's going on, where the watch came from, so that you guys can take that into consideration when you view the credibility of my review. If you think me getting a free watch is going to compromise my credibility, don't take what I say seriously, or at least back it up and try and find other YouTube channels that you can watch and get second opinions on. But at least you'll know that so that you can make that decision for yourself. And hopefully if you've stuck around the channel long enough and watched enough of my reviews, I do have some level of credibility with you guys, and you know that I do try and give both sides of the story. I always try and show the good and the bad side of the watches. And I've said this on a couple of comments before. The last thing I want is for anybody to watch one of my reviews, buy a watch, and then think, oh, that guy totally lied to me and he must have just been getting paid to give that review. That's something I would just, I would hate for that to happen. And that's kind of the checks and balance in my brain anytime I'm reviewing a watch. Not only am I thinking, oh, I wonder what the company that gave me this watch for free, what they're going to think about this review. I'm even more thinking, well, I wonder what the people who are watching this and might actually buy this watch, what they're going to be thinking about this review. This is a budget watch collecting channel, and the reason people are interested in budget watches 9 times out of 10 is because they don't have a lot of money. And that's my category. I don't have a lot of money to go out and buy tons of watches to have this giant collection, which is one of the reasons why I accept free watches for review, so that I can have something to talk about on the channel. But because of that experience, I know that you guys out there who are considering buying affordable watches, for most of you, this is a very big stretch. It's something that you really need to be careful about. You might only get one watch a year, if that, and you don't want to buy the wrong one, and that's why you're looking for reviews. And so my goal is to help you guys, make that good decision by showing the product as honestly and carefully as I can. So this is going on pretty long, but I'll go ahead and leave it there. Drop me questions down below if you have any questions about any of this. Happy to do my best to answer it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, disclaimer, don't take any of this advice as like legal advice or anything like that. But hopefully if you have a YouTube channel and you're in the same situation as me, maybe some of this information was helpful to you. And if you're a viewer, hopefully this, helps you understand how my channel works better and maybe how some of the other watch channels and other YouTube channels work as well. All that said, we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.